Welcome back to another Genshin Interact video. Let us know down in the comments if this guide was helpful or if you have any other tips about Zhongli. Also make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Thank you for watching, now on to the video.
Geo Archon Zhongli has to be one of the best characters and shielders Genshin can offer. While he protects his teammates with his amazing shield, he can also put out enough damage to be called a DPS. Now let's take a closer look at how Zhongli's talents work, which ones to level, and how high you should level into them. First, you should level into his skill talent. Zhongli's skill allows him to create a shield, and when leveling into this talent, you can make this shield stronger. Looking into how this skill actually works, there is a press and a hold version. The press version will create a stone steel construct that stands for 30 seconds and deals AoE geo damage when created. When holding your skill button down, Zhongli once again creates a stone steel construct. Along with the stone steel, Zhongli creates a shield of jade that bases its damage absorption on Zhongli's max HP. The shield of jade stays on the character on field even if Zhongli is off field. Same as the press version, doing the hold version will deal AoE geo damage. Remember that at Constellation 0, Zhongli can only have one stone steel on field at one time. A quick side note that is very useful to know is that characters protected by Zhongli's Jade Shield will decrease the elemental resistance and physical resistance of opponents in a small AoE by 20%. If you have Zhongli's first constellation, which increases the max number of stone steels that can be on field to 2, the 20% buff stated earlier does not stack itself to 40%. Looking at the Elemental Burst talent, Zhongli launches a meteor dealing geo damage to opponents caught in its massive AoE and applies the petrification status to opponents hit. Opponents affected by said petrification status cannot move for a period of time. Finally, his normal attack talent is basic in the sense that there isn't anything special about it. Leveling these talents does depend on how you wish to use your Zhongli though. You need to figure out if Zhongli is going to be the typical build of a shielder with some damage capabilities, or if you wish your Zhongli to be built as a physical DPS. A Zhongli as a shielder that doesn't go on field for damage will level his skill then his burst, and rarely ever level into his normal attack talent. Physical DPS Zhongli will want all three talents at a similar level, but the normal attack and burst talent should be top priority. Our recommended way of building Zhongli is the shielder route with some extra damage help. So our recommended talent levels are skill at level 8, burst at level 8, and normal attacks at level 1. But that normal attack talent can be pushed to level 6 if you really wish.
Looking beyond talents, we now move over to Zhongli's passives. Zhongli's first passive talent states that when the Jade Shield created by his hold skill takes damage, it will fortify. Fortified characters have 5% increased shield strength, which helps that shield hold on a little bit longer. The Jade Shield can be fortified up to 5 times back to back, and will last until the Jade Shield disappears from being broken or the duration just runs out. Zhongli's second passive talent helps Zhongli deal bonus damage based on his max HP. As you can see, normal attack, charged attack, and plunging attack damage is increased by 1.39% of max HP. The skill Stone Steel Resonance and hold damage is increased by 1.9% of max HP, and the burst deals additional damage equal to 33% of Zhongli's max HP. After passives, we need to talk about artifact sets for Zhongli. Looking at the Shielder Zhongli and DPS Zhongli, they will have different artifact sets and stats than each other. Zhongli as a shield support favors the 4-piece Tenacity set the most. The 2-piece set bonus increases HP by 20%. The 4-piece set bonus increases all party members' attack by 20% and their shield strength by 30% when the character wearing this set hits an opponent with an elemental skill. Increasing HP not only buffs the shield Zhongli creates, but it also increases the damage Zhongli can do when you have that second passive talent. The 4-piece set bonus on Tenacity is very nice when Zhongli is shielding characters that need attack, and he stacks more shield strength on that first passive. If you do not have a solid 4-piece set for Tenacity, or maybe Zhongli is paired in a team with Hu Tao and Yelan, who scale more off of HP, you could run two 2-piece HP percent sets so that Zhongli gets more personal damage and a better shield. The 2 HP percent sets are Tenacity of the Millilith with a 20% HP bonus and Vorakasha's Glow with the same. While Tenacity's 4-piece gives 30% shield strength, this bonus is only given for 3 seconds and contingent on Zhongli hitting an opponent with his skill. But with double 2-piece HP percent sets, Zhongli stays at a higher HP, which gives a stronger shield and more personal damage. Quickly going over artifact sets for physical Zhongli, he could use a 4-piece Pale Flame set, or 2-piece Pale Flame and 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry. Going into artifact main stats and substats, these will change depending on how Zhongli is used on your account. First we look at Zhongli as a support with a little bit of damage but mostly shielding help. our recommendation is an HP % Sands, Goblet, and Circlet, or HP % Sands, Geo Damage bonus Goblet, and Crit Circlet. The substats you should go after are HP %, crit rate, crit damage, attack %, and possibly energy recharge. Now onto Zhongli as a physical DPS. Our recommendation is an attack % or HP % Sands, a physical damage bonus Goblet, and a Crit Circlet. The substats you should go after are crit rate, crit damage, attack %, HP %, and energy recharge. Zhongli is very easy to build and does well in most teams either way you build him. We do recommend going the shielder route so that Zhongli can fit into more teams.
Although artifact sets and artifact stats are very important, the next major part of a character's build is their weapon. Just like with other parts of his kit, Zhongli's weapon will change depending on how you wish to build him. When building Zhongli as a support with some damage, his best 5-star weapon could be argued as Staff of Homa. Staff of Homa gives crit damage as its main stat. The ability of the weapon increases HP and buffs attack based on HP. The buff to Zhongli's shield by way of more HP, a buff to his HP for damage from his passive, and a buff to his attack make this weapon very viable and probably the best weapon he can use. Other 5-star weapons really only help physical Zhongli or Zhongli focused on burst support. Looking at 4 and 3 stars, Black Tassel and Favonius Lance make up your choices. Black Tassel has a main stat of HP %, it's only a 3-star weapon, but it gives almost 47% at level 90. Favonius Lance does not really help shielding at all, but its main stat and ability give more energy for Zhongli and the team. Taking a step over to physical Zhongli, he can use an arsenal of weapons. Any weapons helping physical damage bonus, crit rate, crit damage, and attack could help a Zhongli build for physical damage. 5-star weapons like Primordial Jadewing Spear, Vortex Vanquisher, and even Staff of Homa again are good choices. 4-star weapons like Crescent Pike, Deathmatch, Dragonspine Spear, and Blackcliff Pole are solid weapons that might even outdamage one of the previous 5-stars.
Now looking at Zhongli's constellations, starting with the first one. The first one is called Rock, the Backbone of Earth. This constellation increases the maximum number of stone steels created by Dominus Lapidus that may exist simultaneously to 2. This is nice for more coverage on the field, whether it's damage or higher odds of triggering the 4-piece effect on a tenacity build, since you only get the effect for 3 seconds every time the equipping character skill hits an enemy. It can also help trigger other characters' automatic skills more frequently, like Raiden's for example, to simply put out more damage or cause more sporadic reactions. Overall though, it is my opinion that this constellation isn't necessary, as it doesn't really add too much to Zhongli's personal damage, nor does it significantly help other characters. His second constellation is called Stone, the Cradle of Jade. This states that Planet Befall grants nearby characters on the field a Jade Shield when it descends. This constellation is also just more of a quality of life upgrade for playing co-op with other players. This does not help in any way for personal needs, so do keep that in mind. Although, any player online will like you for this constellation. His third constellation is called Jade Shimmering Through Darkness. This increases the level of Dominus Lapidus by 3. This one is really nice since it beefs up Zhongli's shield by quite a bit, especially if you have built him with high HP, which you should. His fourth constellation is called Topaz, Unbreakable, and Fearless. This increases Planet Befall's area of effect by 20% and increases the duration of Planet Befall's petrification effect by 2 seconds. This constellation is pretty fun and adds a lot of utility to Zhongli's already awesome burst, as it will allow you to nearly double the duration of the petrification effect and hit more opponents with a wider area of effect. However, because this constellation doesn't actually add to Zhongli's personal damage, nor does it help other units deal more damage, it may not necessarily be worth to go after. Only reason being that getting a new character altogether will take you further in building your account. Now this can almost be said about any constellations on any character, just because new characters bring a whole new mechanic to your team builds, whereas most constellations upgrade what you already have. His fifth constellation is called Lazuli, Herald of the Order. This increases the level of Planet Befall by 3. At the end of the day, this is just more personal damage for Zhongli, which can be good if you have him built as burst support especially. It also does add a fraction of time to the petrification effect, but it's not enough to say it's worth it to get this constellation over. Zhongli's sixth constellation is called Chrysos, Bounty of Dominator. This states that when the Jade Shield takes damage, 40% of that incoming damage is converted to HP for the current character. A single instance of regeneration cannot exceed 8% of that character's max HP. Given that this is a final constellation on a 5-star, it is pretty broken for how well it keeps you alive, but there could be one major issue with this constellation for certain teams. The first example that some of you may already be thinking about, and is the prime example, is Hu Tao. Because Hu Tao wants to always be at low HP to gain a serious buff to her personal damage, Getting this Constellation and using Zhongli with her could actually hurt her more than help her. Most people will tell you that using a shielder with Hu Tao instead of a healer is better, and while this is generally true, Zhongli loses his synergy with Hu Tao after unlocking this Constellation. One other thing to keep in mind about this is that the shield must take damage to heal the character. So Zhao using his burst and losing HP as stated in his kit will not trigger the healing effect. Another example of this is Dia's damage mitigation mechanic. You must receive a direct blow from an opponent to trigger this heal.
Following Constellations, we need to look at team Zhongli can fit in. Because Zhongli is what we call a flex character, he fits in almost every single team you could think of. Because the Geo element doesn't intervene in reactions too much and Zhongli's Geo application isn't the highest, he doesn't mess up many reactions you may already have on your team. One of the teams is one of the best teams Zhongli could be in and was previously talked about. This team is Hu Tao, Yelan, Xingqiu, and Zhongli. Hu Tao needs to stay at a lower HP to activate one of her passives, to help her do more damage. But this does pose a problem since she could die quicker when she's at a low HP. Zhongli's strong shield will be able to protect Hu Tao while she is more vulnerable at said low HP. Another team that is well known and widely used is a pair of Zhongli and Ganyu with supports buffing Ganyu. Because Ganyu gets most of her damage from charge shots, having a shielder to protect her from getting interrupted will help her do more damage in a rotation. In fact, any DPS characters that use charge shots as their main way of damage could use Zhongli as a way to protect them from getting hit in their charge shot animation. Yoimiya, who likes to go through most of her normal attack sequence, could use Zhongli's shield to help her stay on track. Wanderer is yet another character who could really use a shielder on his team. His flying state makes him heavily vulnerable to getting interrupted and can shorten his flying state, which in turn would decrease his overall damage. If you have any extra tips or tricks you know or use with your own Zhongli, please go ahead and let us know down in the comments, as well as any questions you might have for us about him. Thank you again for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.